Fred. Welcome to the Tiffany C Show, where real estate made simply. And I want to tackle a topic that I saw today. In this video, we're going to go over the difference between rent and a mortgage payment. I saw a question where it said the person was asking, "What is the difference between a monthly mortgage payment?" And they said, "Isn't it still the same as renting, but only 15 to 20 plans, but until you're 15 to 20 plans up?" So I wanted to tackle that question because I'm sure there's a lot of other people that has these questions. Real estate agents, we should be having these conversations with our clients and giving them an understanding of what the difference is between the two. And it really depends on each individual person's situation will determine, the different determining factors will determine which is going to be the best fit for you. But there's a really big difference between the two. One, I want to start with the upfront costs, right? When you go to a landlord and you say that you want to rent their property, first you have to, most of them have you pay, do a background check, right? And then you may have an application fee. And usually there's probably a deposit that you need to pay, and different things like that. Of course, if if you own pets, there may be a deposit required when you have a pet, and and that's basically put there to help cover any damages that your pet may have. But and then if everything is good at the end of the day, the landlord feels that everything is good, then you should be able to get those deposits back. Usually, the application fees and the background checks fees, usually those are not returnable. In each individual situation, you want to have that conversation with the landlord before you sign that lease. When you're buying a home, it's you do have to put some more money up front. Usually there's a down payment that's going to be required. For example, it could be up to 20% of the house's with the house's value, or maybe so it really depends on what your lender. That's why it's important to have a conversation with the lender. And once you have that conversation with the lender, they'll be able to let you know what you're going to be required to put down. And it's good to have a real estate agent in your with you, because your agent is there. Your agent has your back. Your agent wants what's best for you. Usually, you have a down payment that you're going to put down onto your house, that will be used towards the overall closing of the property as well. So a down payment isn't really the only cash that you may have to do when you're buying a home. You may have to pay for a appraisal, or probably an inspection as well. Inspection fees probably in range between $300 and $500, depends on the person that you're going to go with. But it just really depends on where you live and what the person that you're hiring is going to charge you. Then you have your closing costs. That usually includes like your mortgage application, your origination fees, and maybe your title and settlement fees and things of that nature. So you do have those kinds of things when it comes to renting and purchasing a home. You do have those initial fees that may be required upfront. Usually, when it comes to the length of the properties or the two, when you're renting, it may range between a month that you're going to rent. Maybe you have a lease that may go for a year or multiple years. So really that's a conversation that you'll have with your landlord to determine, what the agreement is going to be. But as a renter, you have the opportunity to be able to negotiate the lengths of your lease, or try to, see what's going to better help you at the end of the day. And you may have some flexibility there. So, it just really depends on what you're going to do. When you're purchasing a home, you could have a short-term mortgage, or you could have a mortgage that would be a little bit longer. Some mortgages are between 15 years. Some mortgages, you have 10-year mortgage loans. You have 20-year mortgage loans. So when it comes to the length, usually when a mortgage is a little longer than it would be if you're going to be renting that property. But renting gives you a little bit more flexibility to be able to uproot and leave and go to different places as much as you choose. Usually when you purchase in a home, usually purchasing it for long-term investment properties, rather that be you're owning it outright and owning it, or perhaps using it as an investment tool, right? So we also purchase homes and we have a mortgage on that home because we're using it as an investment to be able to bring in extra money at the end of the day. And that helps us to build that generational wealth that we all want and need to be able to either pass down, or we'll talk about some of the benefits of owning that as well. But also including when you have your rent, you also have, your flat monthly payments of your rent. And when it comes to your mortgage, usually you have your, you may have, unless you have a balloon mortgage, that's a whole nother conversation, or you may have your traditional mortgage where it's the same every single month. So it really depends on the type of mortgage that you have. It usually includes your principal and your interest payments, or your taxes and your insurance. Some people compound them into one monthly payment so that they're not paying separate different companies. That is something that you could do as well. So this is really depending on the payment that you have. In some form, you'll have that combination of your payments. Here's the one thing that just is the biggest difference between renting and between a mortgage of having your property. This is tax benefits. Oh my gosh, if you had the opportunity to be able to save on your taxes or be able to, wouldn't you like to go in that direction? So usually, as a homeowner, you're allowed to deduct the mortgage interest on your taxes. That is not something you can do when you're renting property. You cannot just deduct your rent on your taxes. It doesn't work that way. And you're allowed to deduct your property taxes on your federal income taxes as well. If you have a home office, the IRS may allow you to do some tax deductions there as well for your business spaces. Those are things that you definitely want to have a conversation with your tax advisor. I am not offering tax advice at all. So you definitely want to have a conversation with them in regards to those types of things. But the main benefit of investing in a home remains the ability to sell that property and not be taxed on gains of up to 250,000 for single filers or 500,000 for married couples. So there are some positive things when it comes to being able to own versus rent, and those are things that you just can't do when you are renting a property. Basically, you're helping, in other words, you're helping the person that owns that property to be able to do all these kinds of things. And then the other one is equity. Equity versus rent. What is the difference between the two of them? You may not get your deposit back at the end of the day when it comes to your rent. Those are things you may not get back, that the pet for your pet, or maybe the insurance that you're putting on it, or maybe the deposit that you put down. You may not get some of those things back depending on the condition of that home. But as a homeowner, you're likely to make a decent amount of money back when you sell that property, depending on the value of that home. Another thing is that you can take, once you've paid so much into that home, you can take that equity out of that home and be able to utilize that to help maybe with college expenses, or maybe to help with paying down debt, or to be able to take that money out the house and be able to go and get investment property that can continue to make money while you're sleeping, because now you have people renting from you. So that you can't do that when you're renting. What you are doing when you're renting, though, is you're helping the landlord to be, you're paying the landlord's mortgage. And then after paying so much, the landlord is now able to take out the equity of that home, and to be able to take that money and be able to get investment properties so that they can continue to receive that extra income each and every single month. So if you've been thinking about moving from renting to moving to purchasing property, feel free to get in contact with me at TiffanyCEver.com/real estate. And real estate agents, we should be having these conversations with our clients so that they don't understand the difference. When I have clients come to me and they say that they want to rent property, I help them to understand that some of those funds that they are using every single month can be utilized, especially now that here in Port St. Lucie, it's like $2,500 that you may have to spend to rent. Times that by 3, first, last, and security. two, four, six, 8,000, $10,000 that you may have to do to put down on that property, and that money can be used to be able to purchase property, if not even a duplex, perhaps that you can actually live in one side and rent out the other side and be able to go in this as an investor already. Things to think about, right? So if you have any questions, feel free to get in contact with me at TiffanyCShow.com/real estate. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel wherever you may be at. You can see most of these videos right here on YouTube and Instagram. I'm sorry, Facebook. Feel free to go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in contact with me. And if you have, feel free to continue to follow for more business and real estate tips. And when you think of real estate, think of Tiffany C. Everett first.